Thank you for the reminder. Um, and no appeal has been filed. For information regarding the board's decision or an appeal circuit court, the Office of Land Use Administration will be your contact. As you come to the podium, we'll ask that you give your name and address for the record, and you direct your statements to us. If we have a question for staff or for you, then we'll ask for further comment. There's a 5-minute limitation for speakers. Let me state that we allow 4 individuals to speak in favor of an application and 4 in opposition. So if there's more than 4 here for anyone, pick your best 4, as I like to say, and you get 5 minutes per speaker. And they'll give you a buzzer reminder that you have a minute left. And I would ask that you have electronic devices, you turn them on silent or off so we don't have a disturbance. And I'll remind the board of that as well, and to turn on their mics, like I was reminded, when they make a statement. And we'll start with roll call. First, Mr. Morris. Here. Mr. Carroll. Absent. Mr. Milling. Mr. Metcalf. Mr. Golden. Mr. Davis. Absent. And I'm William Guest. That shows that we have 5 present. It takes 5 to make a quorum and 5 to affirm a motion, either in favor of an application or in opposition, depending on the motion. If any one of us have to recuse ourselves, then we will not be able to have a motion on that particular application. As I've asked prior to the meeting, everyone here plans to participate, and we have no recusal at this time. And with that stated, we'll move on. I need an adoption of the agenda. Chair, entertain a motion. I have a motion to adopt the agenda as presented. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Motion carries. All right. We're going to go in order of the agenda. This will be application 6457, 6125, 5054 regarding 2100 Airport Boulevard. The applicant will come to the podium. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. My name is Ben Cummings. I'm the architect for the owners. I have
Address?
my address is 1 Houston Street. I've read the staff report and I'm in agreement with the staff report.
Okay. Any questions of the applicant by the board? Okay. As just a matter of fact for the audience, the staff recommended approval, and then the special conditions illustrate such little enforcement will result in unnecessary hardship, and spirit of chapter shall be observed substantially. Justice shall be done to the surrounding neighborhood by granting the variance, and approving the variance will not be contrary to public interest. Okay, do we have anyone in the audience in opposition to this application today? All right, we have none for the record. Staff's recommended approval. Chair, entertain a motion.
Second.
I have a motion with a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you much.
All right, we're on application 6460, 6076, 5340 Halls Mill Road, and 4370 Rangeline Road. Is the applicant here today?
Nick Richards, Chris Albritton Construction, 2100 Bush Dairy Road, Laurel, Mississippi.
Okay, this is another easy one. Staff recommends for approval with conditions. Have you, as a representative, reviewed those?
Yes.
Are you in agreement with those?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant's rep? Okay. Is there anyone in the audience that was either in favor or opposition to this application today? Okay, we have none for the record. All right, this will conclude our public hearing on this one as well. Chair, entertain a motion.
So moved, Mr. Chair.
Okay, a motion to approve.
Yes, sir.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, application 6461, 6375 regarding 5535 and 5575 US Highway 90 West. My understanding this is requesting a holdover.
That is correct, Chairman. The applicant has reached out and let us know that they were unable to attend today's meeting and requested the application to be held over to the August agenda.
Okay. Do we have anyone in the audience that was here for this application, either in favor or opposition? Okay, the applicant's requesting a holdover. Chair, entertain a motion. Have a motion for the holdover. We're doing 30 days, right? Okay. Okay. And Mr. Metcalf for 30 days. Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. All right, we're on application 6462, 5738, 354 St. Francis Street. And my understanding the applicant's requesting holdover as well.
Yes, sir. Another applicant has reached out to us and let us know they were unable to attend today's meeting. Similar to the last application, they too have requested that to be held over to the August 1st meeting.
Okay, do we have anyone in the audience that was here in support or opposition to this particular application? Okay, we have none for the record. Chair, entertain a motion.
Move to hold over, Mr. Chair.
30 days.
Yes.
I have a motion to hold over 30 days. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, we're on application 6463. This is regarding 355 North End Street. Is the applicant present? Good afternoon. Your name and
Afternoon.
address?
Katarina Eccles, 107 St. Francis Street.
Okay, and have you reviewed the staff's comments?
I have, and I agree.
Okay, and for the audience, the staff's recommended for approval, subject to conditions. Any questions of the board for the applicant?
I have one, Mr. Chair.
Yes, please.
What is the House Museum?
It's just like many of the other house museums in Mobile. It's open to the public if they call in to make a reservation, and it has the artifacts of the family that live there and tells the story of the place and the person. So it's not a museum that's open to the public like the Mobile Museum.
I'd never heard of such a thing.
Yeah.
Thank you.
It's essentially the former residence of a historic figure. So the museum is where the person lived. In this place, in this instance, this was Dr. Franklin's home.
Okay, any further questions? All right, I think I've asked, but if not, anyone in the audience either here in support or opposition to the application? Okay, we have none. That'll conclude our public hearing for this application. Staff's recommended for approval. Chair, entertain a motion.
Move for approval, Mr. Chair.
Have a motion to approve.
Second.
Have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. All right, we are on application 6464, 4770. This is regarding 5032 Government Boulevard. Applicant, you'll come to the podium, please. Your name and address,
Good
please.
afternoon. My name is Deborah May, and I reside at 5032 Government Boulevard, Mobile.
Okay. And based on the staff's recommendation for denial, would you tell the board why we should consider otherwise?
I believe that, first of all, we don't have enough childcare, but second of all, that my property meets the uniqueness of having a service road as well as a traffic light to enter and exit from my home in the neighborhood. The parents that I care for, their children only have to go into that one road. They don't actually go into the subdivision, so it doesn't disrupt, the neighborhood, so to speak.
Okay. Questions of the board for the applicant? Mr. Moore?
How long you been in daycare business?
25 years, well, let me, since 1987 totally, but 25 years in the home that I reside in now at 5032.
What are you really requesting today?
Pardon?
I said, what are you really requesting today?
I'm just wanting to have 10 children versus 5, that the need is out there, that because of COVID, the centers have closed down. You know, the home daycares, it's very rare that you can get a licensed home daycare that wants to, you know, go by regulations to provide quality care. And I have a degree in early childhood. I provided care for 25 years in this home. And as far as I know, no one on my street has ever, you know, had a complaint with my daycare. And that's with, you know, traffic, noise, you know, anything. My home looks like a home. You know, if you look at it from the front, no one would know that I actually have a home daycare because I have a privacy fence that closes off the playground so that the children don't, you know, you don't actually see the children even.
Any further questions of the board? Okay, I've got a question for staff but before I proceed. Do we have anyone in the audience either support or opposition? Okay. All of you are in support? Okay. All right. Now, well, we have statements. That was the other thing I wanted to mention that we received. Some in support. Actually, I think everything we received in person, I mean, in writing was in support. Okay. If you'll have a seat. Okay, we have some of you in support. Do you wish to speak? Anything you have? Okay, if you'll come to the podium. And your name and address, please.
My name is Amber Williamson. I live at 5040 Government Boulevard. I am her next door neighbor. Our houses, our properties join. I've observed her for many, many, many years as a neighbor, as a daycare, both. There is nothing. She is so far above any other daycare that I have witnessed. My grandson personally goes there. I have personally observed her with children. I have never, in the entire time she's been there, had any problems with traffic, with the parents coming and going. And like I said, our properties adjoin. There is such a shortage of daycares, and she is so well. She does continuing education courses. She stays right on top of it. My grandson goes there now. I can't speak well of her enough.
Any questions from the board?
Staff, this is a rendition of what we've previously been through, am I right?
I'm going to get to that as we conclude. All right, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Okay, do we have anyone else in support? Okay, I think you folks were in opposition in the back. If you wish to speak, if you'll come to the podium and give us your name and address, please. Good afternoon. Your name and address.
Good afternoon. Bobby Bass, 3725 Long Ridge Drive East. I don't think it's a need for any more kids than she already have, because the community mostly got elderly people, and it's not really a need for a daycare center expansion.
Okay. Have you had any issues with the daycare that you're aware of?
No issue.
Okay. But you just don't think it should be expanded?
I don't think it should be expanded.
Okay. Any questions of the board? Mr. Morse?
Yes, sir. How close do you live to the daycare? Do you live in the vicinity of the daycare?
I live probably about 3 streets away. I'm the president of the homeowners association.
Okay. Well, thank you.
Okay, we had some individuals that signed a form in support of it. And it looks like they are members of your home, or at least your subdivision. Have you had others in the subdivision that either expressed opposition or?
I had a few. They are not here, but I had a few express opposition.
Okay. Once again, any other questions of the board? No, ma'am. We got to take turns. All right. We appreciate you coming today, sir. Ma'am, did you have something you wish to add to his statement? Yes. No, I'll call you back up in a minute. We got to give everybody ample time. Okay. Is there anyone else that wishes to speak in opposition? Okay. You get a 2-minute rebuttal if you want to come back up.
I understand that people fear businesses coming into our neighborhood. I am, part of that neighborhood. But they don't understand that the use variance is only allowing for the additional 5 children. When I talk to people, the most thing that they're afraid of is that it's going to become a commercial, like I'll open a daycare center, which is not allowed, or that, somewhere down the street is going to be a business, which you can't do that unless y'all approve that. So their fears, are not really based on what is fact as far as businesses and things. And family child care was meant to be in a family home environment. And that's where the small children, really thrive. And that's where I take care of the smaller children, in our city. And I've had children, like I said, for 25 years. I've had a child go to Harvard. I've had children go to Auburn, Alabama, Mississippi. I'm very proud of the children, that have come out of my daycare. And that only helps our community, with educated employees for later on.
If you were to be granted the approval, additional staff?
My daughter actually is my substitute right now, and she would be the additional staff.
Okay, and then there's other conditions.
Right, I understand. There's things that you have to meet for the fire and things like that. Right, I understand that.
Okay, now, as part of our role here, we have to look at hardship with the property, and then I'll look to staff to help. We've had a lot of these come up.
Right.
So have you concluded your rebuttal?
Yes, I mean, that's.
All right, if you'll have a seat, I'm going to look to staff again to help refresh our memories on this a little bit. I think you did quite a good write-up last time.
Yes, as we've discussed over the last couple of months, and I commend Ms. May for what she's doing, and I agree with her that there's probably a need for more daycare in our community. But as we've discussed and decided amongst the staff that this is not a variance issue. I should have instructed the staff a couple of months ago when Margaret made that report and we discussed it, not to accept any more of these applications because these are not hardship issues, they're zoning issues. And the fact that it's being used as a daycare for 5 or 6 people or children now that's complainant, and it shows that a hardship doesn't exist because it is being used as a daycare. And just the fact that so many of these individuals, and God bless them all, I think they do a great job, but just because they want to increase the number of kids they have does not create a legal hardship. This is a zoning issue that should be addressed to the Planning Commission. And I apologize if Ms. May, the fact that this application was accepted, and I'll talk to staff, and I think we'll agree that we're not going to accept any more of these applications because legally there's no hardship on any of these.
Mr. Metcalf, you have a question?
Yeah. Doug, is there, are there plans to
the new zoning
this
ordinance?
with the zoning ordinance?
Repeat.
Yeah, or just any changes to the numbers?
No. As a matter of fact, there has already been council input on this issue, and if memory serves me correct, they like the rules as they are now. But I can definitely give a follow-up to the board. I can send you an email after the meeting.
It just seems that, again, we continue to hear these, and every time it seems to be a compelling argument.
And as we've discussed, we granted these in the past, and I probably wouldn't doing my job in saying no hardship. But we've come to that conclusion now, and that's the stand, or that's the position we're taking.
She's looking up the UDC for me.
That's fine. Okay. Thank you.
Ms. May. We had a series of these over the last several months.
I'm
And we
aware.
asked for their guidance because it didn't really seem to be within our role to consider these based on the way the codes are written. So it sounds like they may have allowed your application to come through, and we probably should not have actually been hearing it today.
I think that, okay,
Okay, I'm just, it's a little change for us too.
all right.
Because we've denied some and we've approved some. And as Mr. Anderson said, we understand that, I mean, I personally know there are about hardships with daycares and all that, with grandkids myself. But making your home go from 5 or so to 10 is really kind of more of a zoning change than it is a variance, from my understanding.
Excellent segue to answer Mr. Metcalf's question. In the proposed UDC, pending council approval tomorrow, a daycare with more than 5 children would require a conditional use permit. And in the UDC and the city council, conditional use permits in the proposed zoning ordinance essentially are the same as zoning or are to be handled the same way. So it requires a recommendation from the Planning Commission and then final approval from the City Council.
And you said pending approval or voting on that tomorrow?
It'll have its first public hearing.
First public hearing. Okay. If are we anticipating when this is going to pass? Years ago, yeah, 2 years ago. I was just asking for Ms. May's benefit. So what you're hearing is that there may be an avenue for you, but not right now.
I have a problem with that because they accepted my application and I paid $4,000 for an architect and I did have a planning meeting. So, you know, I went through the guidance that was given to me through zoning.
So the planning commission sent her to us? Oh.
Margaret, is that correct from a staff standpoint that went through a meeting and she did all these?
I had a
Now we're kind of pulling the rug out from underneath her in a sense in this particular case?
I didn't attend a pre-development meeting. I can tell you the application was not drawn by an architect. So I
Was?
Yes, it was. It was by Dr. Rodriguez. Not doctor, but Mr. Joseph Rodriguez is the architect that has supplied. He actually put my application in, and he did it.
Let me look at the file.
Okay, yeah, that's a copy from a mapping
Yeah, right.
website.
Okay. If you can just give us a
That's fine.
We're,
I'll give you anytime you need.
we're trying. This may be an unusual situation. Well, they all seem to be. Yeah.
All of these are supposed to be unusual. All right. This one don't want to come apart. There we go. Okay, it's not a stamped architect drawing. More of a rendering.
Pre-development meetings typically have everyone that touches a project attend.
Oh, wait a minute. Let me see if there's something else in there. I think these are all your documents. Okay, I don't see site plans that I think what we're looking for. And
Everything
architectural
was
drawings, they're not in the file. I mean, this is,
That's everything that was
No, I mean, I
submitted.
have it in a big giant roll thing where Mr. Rodriguez submitted it
you
with.
submit it to,
It could be that that went to permitting, but for the variance application, you have what we received for the variance.
Okay. Mr. Chairman,
yes.
Ms. May, what were those, the $4,000 was for the plans?
Well, I originally paid for the site plan, and then I didn't realize that you had to do the architect. So then I had to pay another $3,000
Okay,
for
but
the
what,
architect.
what did he generate for you?
I mean, it was a whole thing, plans, permits, all that. I mean, it's,
I know, including what? I'm trying to find out what it was that through guidance or whatever that you were planning to do physically to the structure that requires the plans.
oh, I don't really have. I have to do a hood, which is a commercial hood,
Okay.
and then and I actually have not opened them because I didn't figure I needed to open them until after I got approved or not. But I'm assuming that I may have to put like a little lip on my front door for wheelchair access. But other than that,
Okay, but that work that your architect did he do that in response to guidance from the city?
he's worked with the city. He worked for Betty Bush, who got her family daycare home. So I'm assuming that he, was doing everything because hers was approved.
So it covered fire code, compliance.
That's what I'm trying to
hood.
get at, yeah.
Okay.
Bringing up the building code is probably what the architect did.
Okay, but that would have probably gone to permitting or
Correct.
Yes. First of all, I think we need to make sure those plans get to the right group for us to consider how far you went along with this.
Okay.
And you've got people in support, people in opposition. Would it be something you would consider to hold this over for 30 days so that some of this can be, and maybe we'll have a little bit more of a feel for how we should proceed with this? I hate, you only have five. You only have 5 of us.
Right.
It only takes one of us to say no.
I understand.
It fails, and then you've got to wait 6 months
Right.
before you can apply if it's even considered by them because of the,
Yeah, I was going to, you read my mind. I was going to suggest let's hold it over to August 1. Let's review the file, see what reliance
Right.
she did, she and her architect did based on the meeting, and we'll certainly be able to make a final decision on August 1. That's the best we can do today.
And Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
also I would recommend that you bring your architect with you.
He was supposed to be here with me, but
Oh.
he ended up being out of town. So
Whatever, but I
yeah.
think it may be helpful.
I
Okay.
begged.
Just to,
Now, the other
I think
part of
that's the
this,
best we could do.
I have concern for the homeowners association. If they come as a representative for your homeowners association, make sure that you communicate and try to smooth over any issues they may have.
Okay.
Just suggesting that.
Right.
For the
You may have more people in opposition next time.
Well, that's
For the record, the petition that's in front of you, none of those people appear to live in the neighborhood.
Okay.
Dolls, Burma Road, somebody from Greenville,
Associated
Georgia.
clients, I'm sure. Okay. All right. Any other comments? Questions of the board?
And I don't want to, excuse me, I'm sorry, I don't want to I didn't mean to throw the staff under the bus if it came across that way because they accepted this application. That was not my intent at all. Like I said, it was my fault for not instructing them earlier.
We're holding you
that This is the
responsible,
guidance
Mr.
that we need to
That's-
follow. I didn't want Margaret to stab me in the back when I turn around.
She
All
might.
As the-
Deep.
All right, gentlemen. All right. It's your decision whether you want to request a holdover until the next meeting, which is 30 days. That'll give you time to open those plans with the staff
Right,
and make sure that we kind of sort it out a little bit more than we should be doing here.
okay,
Is that your preference?
yes,
Okay. All right. Thank you.
thank you.
All right. The applicant's now requesting a holdover. Will anyone on the board like to make a motion in support of that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, a motion in support.
I move to hold over this application until the next meeting.
Okay, do I have a second? I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, we'll see you next month.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. All right, let's move on to the next application, which is 6465. And this is regarding 553 Dolphin Street. Is the applicant present?
Douglas Carley, 10 Wisteria Avenue.
Okay. And the staff's recommended for approval. Are you in agreement with the staff's recommendations? Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant? Okay, and I don't believe we had any comments regarding this one, did we? Okay. Do we have anyone in the audience, either in support or opposition, that would like to speak on this application? Okay, we have none for the record. Staff's recommended for approval. The applicant's in agreement with the statement as provided. Chair, entertain a motion. Have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone opposed? Okay, motion carries. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're on application 6466, 6374 regarding 116 Myrtlewood Lane. Is the applicant here? Your name and address, sir?
Steve Sheridan, 201 Ridgewood Place.
Okay, and staff recommended for denial. Would you like to tell us why we should consider otherwise?
Yes, sir. Thank you. The first issue of the air conditioning being over 36 inches, I have a condensing unit that's 38 inches. The owner of the property that I work for, the owner now, bought the lot next door as well. So the air conditioner that's encroaching is encroaching on his lot, and which is 80 foot more feet on there, and it's been landscaped. I also received a email from the planning and zoning saying that it appears the air conditioning unit's not going to be the issue. Well, I had already turned it over to Poly Surveying to make this application for the air conditioning and the stairs in the back. So I think if this is right, that maybe I only have to address the stairs in the back. The 36-inch rule, as I understand it, in the very near future, is going to be dropped by the city. What they're going to do at that point, I don't know if they're going to go 4 feet or just not have that rule, but I know they're supposed to be phasing it out. The rear steps are brick that were added to a 42-inch high back porch, which when I did them, I made the top landing at 42 inches so that you could walk straight out on this landing, grab a handrail, and then negotiate the stairs. The owners have a grown special needs daughter that lives with them. She would never be able to see the first part of that, and I just thought this will get her onto the landing. She can go down the stairs. The water mitigation, et cetera, has already been taken care of. The Bethel Engineering and Poly Surveying have done a plan. The water goes along the back of the house, goes onto this man's lot next door. We're capturing it next door for both lots, and there's never an issue of it going to the neighbors behind us. I don't know what else to address about it except say that's why I did it. I could have left the top landing down one step and been at 36 inches like it requires. She'd have had all kinds of problems. I could see her doing a header trying to get on the stairs, and that's why we did it.
Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant? You say the porch was 42 inch?
Yes, sir.
Is there a reason it was at that height?
The land slopes that way.
Okay, so that would appear to be your hardship based on you had to build it that way?
I think it was the right thing to do for special needs daughter, yes, sir.
Okay. All right.
No, I didn't have to. I could have left it down 6 inches to step down on the first step, and then I guess we wouldn't be having this conversation, but I did not do that.
Right. Back to the air conditioning unit. Do we see that going away? No.
Yeah, my problem with it is, is that I have the highest efficiency air conditioning unit you can use, and you cannot get it for less than 38 inches high. Okay. Unbeknownst to me until it was set.
And is, I'm sure it's on a platform.
Right. It's 2 inches taller than it's allowed to be.
Okay. All right. Any questions once again of the board?
Just to clarify what I think we just did, but so that requirement in the code is the physical unit itself. So you know, as things change, you know, with equipment and such. Well, I know. I'm just saying, but that was, and that code was probably, you know, written. Well, it was written. That was adopted. Yeah. Right. But things do change. Okay. Yeah. But it is. I always thought it was an issue of like being on a platform or something, but it's actually the equipment itself. And you're at 38.
I'm at 38. Yes, sir.
Okay. Anyone in the audience? And we did get comments on this particular one, right? In favor of the variance request, and they are they're on Stein Avenue. Okay. All right. Thank you. That concludes your statement. Is there, once again, anyone in support or opposition today? All right. We have none present. And comments of the board? Well, without answering for him, I guess the topography contributed to the height of the porch or whatever, and then the landing. Therefore, that contributed to the design. The air conditioning, as Mr. Metcalf and I both said, I mean, those are just the way they're being designed and constructed. And the fact it's on a platform, or I mean a base slab. I guess if they did without the slab, it would be in compliance. But you have to have it on slab for code, so that's a condition they can't overcome either. All right, once again, Chair, entertain a motion.
I move to approve, Mr. Chairman, based on the hardship that I do think that due to the slope of the land and also the health and safety of the inhabitants that necessitates a slightly higher step, lower landing.
Okay. Do I have a second?
Second.
Do I have a second? Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right. application number 9, 6467, regarding 1315 Creekway Drive. Name and address for the record, sir.
Sure. Brett Orrell with Polly Surveying, 5588 Jackson Road, Mobile 36619.
And your application has been recommended for denial, so tell us why we ought to consider otherwise.
Sure. I'll try to do my best. So I do want to quickly make a change to my initial statement in terms of the narrative. I stated that the owner actually owned the property a few years. I got clarification, came in on the back end. I was out of town when this application was put in. And he actually bought the property in February of this year. He lives in Charlotte. He and his wife planned to move down here. They bought the property. Then they moved down for 6 to 7 weeks, started making improvements to the property. It was a cash deal, so they I'm not sure if they got a title policy at that time or what may have happened, but ultimately he was pulled back by his job back to Charlotte, where he's planning to reside. So at that time, he went to sell his property, and the title company took issue with multiple residences on the property, assuming there was an appraisal done, and that was noted. So that's how we ended up here. He then went to planning, was instructed to submit a variance, and that's how we got here today. So I read through a lot of this correspondence, y'all have on your records and things that I'm not privy to, and I've studied it and trying to make sense of it. A lot of it has to do with storm damage and FEMA trailers and previous owners, kind of set the tone for where we sit at this point. So he's from out of town, buys a property, doesn't understand that there's any type of zoning restriction on the property itself for having multiple units. His intent was to live on site and have the other unit as a rental investment property. And so that's where we sit today. He is trying to sell the property still because his job is keeping him in Charlotte, and that's where we stand today. So I'm here, asking you to consider. I don't know. Can we ask if there's opposition here?
I will.
Okay. I'm not. He seems to believe he's met a lot of the neighbors, everyone there. It doesn't seem that anyone's taken issue with this and reported this to the city as a zoning issue or that they're bad neighbors.
One in opposition.
Okay, can I see the statement?
While you're looking at that, the question I have is how many utility services are provided? Are each of their houses or structures independently?
That's really out of my expertise, honestly. I could try to get clarification from the utility company. It's not something I do on my front end. No, he's in Charlotte. I normally don't come to these. He asked me to stand in for him.
Mr. Chairman, what's the history of this property? I don't quite get it.
What happened was, when Katrina came through, this is the primary residence, or this was the residence that existed on the property prior to Katrina. This area floods. It had flooding. A lot of the neighborhood had flooding after Katrina. So the primary residence was damaged. The owners at the time came in and said, we're going to convert this to storage, and we're moving in a modular building, modular, not a trailer. So permits were issued. Modular was moved in.
Temporary?
No, modular. That's where it comes in, and it's actual.
But it wasn't for a temporary.
No, it was to be the permanent residence. And then what was the initial residence was to be converted to storage. Well, they have 2 houses there now.
So the work was done.
Work was done to renovate the existing home for residential without any inspections.
Was it completed?
I believe you have 2 residences, 2 habitable structures there now.
So the guy bought it with 2 structures on it. Now, when your client bought it, was it already renovated? Was it already habitable?
Yes, I would say so. I mean, he made, bringing it up, making it nicer is what he
But he
was
bought it with
investing.
these two things there, these two buildings. there.
Correct. And to his understanding, it had been used as a rental investment property. He was buying it for his residence and having that was.
It doesn't. I agree with what you're saying.
Yeah.
The point I would make to your question is that front structure, based on permits issued, was to be storage and was never approved to become a residence again as long as the second one was there.
Okay, so that was actually.
Yes.
Yeah.
But not by
By the prior.
Right. And so now we're stuck here.
You're stuck.
Right. And so.
One way to put it. All right. Any other questions?
So, but before you, if you're leaning towards, or I get a chance to rebut if there is opposition or speak
I'm going
again.
to give you a chance. Are there any other questions from the board? All right. Is there anyone in the audience in support, in addition to the applicant's rep? Is
Are there
anyone in
pictures of
opposition?
this thing?
Yeah, we do. Well, I believe we do. All right.
Sorry, this one's really challenging. Just trying to.
Well, and I think I hear from Mr. Anderson what I was going to ask is, could this be subdivided?
Well, and that's what I put. I made extra copies for y'all to view before coming to this. And then one thing I got clarification on. So I created a preliminary plat based on the survey. There are setback issues in doing that. So I took and I think they'll be bringing that around. If you want me to wait, make a little more sense of it.
Yeah.
And he asked if we could approve the setback variance subject to a new zoning subdivision application, but that's not
It's kind of back.
before us. Yeah, that's not the notice.
Hey. All right, so what I did here, if everyone, so we took the closest point, just divided that, and I basically ran it parallel with the existing possession line, which is the house and the fence, came down to an existing fence, turned it along that fence, and just continued to follow the existing possession. I know it's a unique looking configuration, but the fence is in place, kind of already lead itself to that. I know that staff mentioned this would be substandard in terms of square footage. I do, the 10A is 6,726 square feet. The 10B actually meets it at 7,448, with the minimum being 7,200, but the overall property is shy of 15, or whatever, 14.4, whatever it needs to be. So I know sometimes we get allowances of that through planning commission. I think in this particular case, we might be able to pull that off, but just try to come up with a unique configuration here based on the mess that I think my client fell into.
Hey, Margaret. So my understanding is probably the better route would be for this to go through the subdivision.
Yes, and what I would also suggest is that the applicant request a holdover. Everybody needs to be here in August. It looks like a full agenda. To modify your request for a setback variances so that we can properly advertise those and submit a subdivision for the planning commission.
Will we need to reissue a new application? We can just hold it over and modify my narrative?
Exactly.
Okay.
Modify your narrative, and we'll take this
And
site
go ahead and
plan.
plan to submit 2-lot sub.
That is correct.
You
And
need to also look, at least in the pictures, there's the air conditioning unit we just had is an issue because it's like 4 to 5 feet in the air.
Well, it's not in a setback in that particular, the AC unit itself.
Okay.
Mhm.
That's where it becomes an issue, is the setback. So
Stuff like that is what I'm
Right.
getting at. Make sure we don't miss anything so we don't have a.
right.
Margaret, one thing I would notice is.
Oh, I see it. He's correct. Because I think the front home has windy units.
Mhm.
And so the rear home, the AC's in the back, it's
It is
fine.
like this high off the ground.
Yeah, that's due to flood compliance because Perch Creek is right behind it.
Okay. I just don't want to, other things to.
Right.
Is the existing storage building in the setback? Is it 8 foot?
That's right at
On lot
yeah.
10A.
Yeah, I think I could relook at that.
Okay. Well, or,
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just saying, if you're going to ask for a setback, just make sure
That's
you
something
include
that
that. Just
got
make
past
sure you
me.
include that.
Got past us there.
Well, it sounds like holdover is being
I'm
recommended.
perfectly fine with that.
All right, so as the
Thank you.
applicant's rep, you're willing to request a holdover?
Yes, please.
Okay, is 30 days enough, or should we do 60 on this?
He has most of the information. I think he would be able, in terms of what he needs to get to staff, I think you can get that to us by midweek.
Yeah.
Because we're
Hard, but
approaching
I'm
the
trying to
deadline for
get less
legal
on
ads.
the agenda.
He has more of it ready, though.
Okay. All right, it's your call.
Yes, our team can get it submitted, no problem, this week, and if 30 days works, we'll take it.
Okay, and I think I asked for the record, do we have anyone in opposition today? Okay, we have none. Applicant's rep has now requested a holdover for 30 days to allow them to modify the variance request and to look at other options. Chair, entertain a motion. Have a motion to hold over. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Okay, we are on application 6468 now. 4519 Cypress Business Park Drive. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Name and address, sir.
I'm Alan Reamer, doing business as Alan Reamer LLC now. Address is 1101 Azalea Road.
Okay, now this application also has been recommended for denial. You want to tell the board why?
I saw that.
Or otherwise.
Our client, Kimberly Ray, has an existing daycare in her home and has been looking for another site to go to expand. She contacted a realtor. They researched for her and found her this building. And we were hired to measure the building, do plans, whatever. As a normal course of that, I generally have questions with fire, permitting, whatever, and I'll call the city and check on some things. I had been informed verbally that it was an S3. And so I proceeded with no
The what?
S3.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to hear it.
Anyway, we proceeded with the plans. She's since contacted fire suppression people for that, and we've submitted a set of construction plans to the city, central permitting. And then we found the problem of zoning, and we're recommended to apply for a variance. So the
Any questions? Proceed, I'm sorry.
the building suits her needs exceptionally well. And there's a minimal amount of work that needs to be done. So this was just a dream deal for her.
Is that with the rehab?
Rehab, yes, existing building.
And this falls in a different classification from a
The property is zoned B5, which is office distribution. Unlike what the board has been hearing with daycares, this is kind of the opposite, where, a daycare is not allowed in B5 because B5 zoning allows heavy trucks, heavy warehousing, and it's more so the reason why the zoning ordinance doesn't allow it is because instead of the daycare potentially having a negative impact on surrounding residences, being in a heavy commercial, light industrial classification could more so have a negative impact on this particular use, which is why the zoning ordinance doesn't allow it in B5.
Do we have comments on this one? I don't believe so.
No.
As part of your site work and all that, the planning, there's obviously a fence that's intended for.
The existing building has a wood fence around the air conditioning units. We would propose to put a fence around for the play yard.
Right. Yeah. Okay. Any
Now,
questions of the board? Oh, you had something else?
I was just going to say the fence around the air conditioning units would be repaired and stay so we can keep the kids out of it. But the new fence would be around the play yard area.
Is this building already sprinkled?
No,
So that would be required.
I'm not sure if it's required. I don't believe it's required to be sprinkled.
Not required.
It has to have fire alarm system.
And a hood system and all the other.
Well, there is no hood. There's no cooking.
No cooking.
No cooking. And by the way, one of the questions was parking and the number of staff. And there are 5 teaching positions. We have 13 spaces, including a handicap space. So she's well covered with parking. The asphalt could use some attention, but it's not deteriorated in any way.
All right. Once again, any questions of the board? Yes, Mr. Morris?
Staff, so it's a zoning issue, huh?
Well, is the current medical use allowed in a B5? Okay, because this building was here before it was annexed, right?
Okay. Do you have anything to add? Yeah, if you want to come and speak.
This is the owner.
Yeah, thank you. Good afternoon. Your name and address.
Kimberly Ray. What I wanted to add to it is that
Hold on, your address, please.
it is 5600 Calesa Court, Mobile, Alabama 36693.
Okay, yeah, proceed.
Okay, I wanted to add that it's like maybe not like half a mile. There is another daycare. It's much bigger than mine, but there is a daycare, and it's actually walking distance. And it's right in front of. It's on Higgins, but the chemical. It's not a chemical. It's CPAC. CPAC is directly behind her. So I'm like a little distance from CPAC, which is on down the road. But yeah, there's a daycare there.
Yeah. As you've heard earlier, we've had several requests for home-based. Do you currently have a daycare somewhere?
I do in my home.
Okay, so you're actually trying to expand by doing it the right way.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. All right. So the fact that it's listed as a B5, you didn't necessarily know until you went through the process.
Exactly.
Okay. Okay. Any questions of the board for the applicant? All right. Do we have anyone in opposition here today? All right. thank you. I guess that'll conclude our public hearing on this. I guess I would state that this is more in line with what we've been trying to encourage, is people go out and find a business location that could accommodate and has the setting. Looking at the drawings and the photos, it doesn't look like the industrial activity is in a way going to impact this particular, other than maybe the highway, which is anywhere you'd have potentially a daycare.
Well, it's not even on the, it's off of range line, you know, right. down below.
So anyway, you have something you want to say, Margaret? All right.
I move for approval, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion to approve any conditions?
Nope.
All right.
Second?
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None? Okay, it passes. All right, good luck with you. All right, let's go with application number 6469 4539. And this is 3274 Dawkins Street.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, there's a inaccuracies maybe in the staff report, and we need to make y'all aware of it. And this is a very complicated application. What Margaret has, what I've confirmed with Margaret is that the 3 signs on the left, and I can't C1, C2, and B. Those are allowed by right as existing from the prior development. The staff report recommends approval for A1, which is a monument sign in the right-of-way. However, there was some miscommunication.
At the height that they're
requesting? It doesn't matter. We have no jurisdiction over that because it's in the city right-of-way. Margaret and I had this conversation a month or so ago about this. Yeah, and then she left the country for 3 weeks. And it was not communicated to the staff that that sign did not come under our jurisdiction because it's public right-of-way, and the zoning ordinance only applies to private property. So we cannot approve A1. So the staff report, I guess, is correct, except the part that says recommends approval for the monument sign, which is A1, because that has to go through.
It's not under your consideration.
Thank you.
All right, so C1, C2, and B are by right.
From the prior variance.
And then A1 is not to be considered by the board.
Correct.
So that leaves us everything else.
Yes.
All right, and they're wanting how many?
Counting, total on the site and the right-of-way is 14.
Okay. Minus the one A1, which we can't even consider.
Correct.
All right, so we're at 13.
Yes.
All right. We've kind of cut you off before you even had a chance to start. Your name and address.
Pete Hatcher, 6487 Hilliard Drive.
Okay. And as they stated, this is a very complicated one for us because there's a lot of signs and a lot of conditions, things to consider. Some of which they've recommended for approval and some they're recommended for denial. So you want to kind of just go over what you feel we ought to consider?
Actually, I concur with the staff report.
Okay. So you're in agreement with staff's recommendations?
Mm-hmm.
All right. Any questions of the board? Okay, we did have comments on this one or not? Yeah, we did. Actually, let's see here. I think we got one.
Yes, sir. You have one comment opposed, and then we also have the staff, the applicant's narrative that was omitted from the staff report.
All right, let me make sure I'm in agreement with everything here before I. Do we have anyone in the audience either in support or opposition? Okay, we have none for the record. The applicant has agreed with staff's recommendations, which were for some to be approved, minus A1, which would be for another group.
Correct.
So that's not to be considered.
Mhm.
And C1, C2, and B3 are by right.
Correct.
All right. Chair, entertain a motion. Okay, a motion to approve.
As
based on those-
recommended.
As
because
recommended.
That then
Yes.
throws
Yes.
the rest of them into denial.
Okay. I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second?
Second?
I have a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor of the motion say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
You made that easier than we thought it was going to be.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
just kind of go back just for clarification on the previous application in Cypress. If you look at if you're familiar with that development, and if you look at the subdivision plan, those are small lots along the west side of that road, and those kind of uses, those size parcels are really not consistent with B5. So I just think it made sense, and that was probably the intent of the subdivision. Right? Yeah.
It's a rehab facility, right?
Yeah, it was Bob Fleming.
I'm not going to try and argue or, debate what the board's actions. I would say regarding the prior use, it would all depend on how it was applied for and what they put their use as. Correct.
Okay. Do we have any other business today before we adjourn?
No,
Unless
sir.
we just want to argue with Margaret.
We can hang around.
As well.
Turning off from.
Right, there you go.
All right.
And checking her for knives.
All right. Motion to adjourn.